Hey guys, how are you? We're here in beautiful Egret Point in South Florida, and we are talking about not just this neighborhood, but we're talking about the real estate market in general. So let's talk about what our predictions for the 2025 market are. Basically, right now, the market, so we have three different markets in our world. There's a national market, there's local markets, and then there's hyper-local. If you look at the national news, it's chaotic. Every different state and every different segment of the United States has a totally different market right now. Down here in South Florida, which would be the local market, it's fairly stagnant. It's been fairly slow since a couple months before the election, and it hasn't really picked up yet. Being super hyper local right here in Palm Beach County, particularly, I don't expect we're going to see a pickup until after the new year. Typically, the holidays are always a little slow here anyways, or actually a lot slow. And then mid-January, we see a big pickup. The upshoot of that is, and I'm working with one customer right now for this exact thing, that we have people coming from one market that's very hot, in this case, particularly in New York. They're selling in New York. They listed their house. Oh, pardon me. Should have turned that off because that goes off all day long. But they're up in New York. They just listed their house, and within literally days of listing, they had multiple offers over asking. They actually got $59,000 more than they asked. Okay, they're coming down here to South Florida where we have a very soft market. It's actually a buyer's market again for the first time in about 5 years. So we were able to negotiate a very nice price for them on the property they purchased here. So there's depending on where you're at, where you're going, things like that. Pretty good deal, solid market. Right here, if you look around here, well, we got mostly blue skies, a little gray on the other side, but hey, what can you do? South Florida, but it is, what, a week before Christmas roughly? So could be worse, right? So Florida is still pretty desirable, but we do have this, holiday sort of slowdown that we always have. And like I said, I don't anticipate it'll open back up until mid-January, beginning of February. Now, that being said, everybody says, oh, what's going to happen in 2025? What's going to happen in 2025? Well, a lot of things are going to happen in 2025. We got a new administration coming in. It looks like the feds are going to continue to cut rates. And it looks like the bond market that actually controls mortgage rates is going to continue to ignore that for a while. The last time the feds cut the rate, the mortgage rates went up because a lot of people think that the mortgage rate is tied directly to the Fed rate, which is not. The mortgage rate is tied directly to the bond market. And until the bond market starts to settle down and relax a little bit, rates are probably going to stay fairly high. I think they'll start coming down again, sort of beginning of next year. I would think by summertime we should see pretty good rates, but a lot of people have been holding on waiting for that now for over a year, and it hasn't happened. What I've been telling my customers is buy right now while it's a buyer's market and it's a soft market, because you don't have all the competition that you're gonna have. Once the rates get down, there's gonna be a switch, and all those buyers that are out there waiting are gonna start buying, and you're gonna be back in a competitive market where you're gonna have to compete with other buyers for the house that you want. The long-term view is that rates will come down significantly from where they're at now. They're never gonna get back down to the 3s or 4s. I mean, honestly, that's, that was a very specific instance, but if you were to buy today, and refinance, say 2 years from now, the difference in what you're going to save on a house right now because you're not competing is probably going to be more than what it would cost you over that period of time and additional payments. So we do have a lot of other benefits to that because a lot of lenders right now, there's not a lot of buyers out there. That's just why we're in a buyer's market. There's inventory hitting the market, so a lot of the lenders they need to lend money to make their profit model work. So they're coming up with a lot of incentives now. The bigger incentives for stuff like that is that a lot of the lenders, if you get your loan with them and then you refi with them within 3 to 5 years, depending on the program, there's a lot of stuff they're not charging you for that you would typically have to pay for. So there's thousands of dollars and more in savings. Again, I used to think that I had a crystal ball when I was young and I first got in this business almost 20 years ago. I realized, after a while that my crystal ball was a little bit flawed. Then it started to break a little bit, and now it's just in the shop permanently for repairs. But based on leading indicators, based on what we're seeing locally, what our buyers are telling us, what our sellers are telling us, I think 2025 is going to start out, the first couple of months will be pretty much what they are now, slowly gain momentum. I think by, late spring, early summer, we're going to have a little bit of a race again. And, then we're going to be back to what would be considered, I think, maybe a normal market. I thought we had achieved that a little bit sort of early last year, but then we had another big spike and then we had a drop. So, but that is the general consensus anyways. That being said, again, depending on where you're coming from, if you're making a Florida to Florida move, particularly if you're making a rent to purchase move, it's not going to be a massive amount of difference in your cost. It used to be that renting was way more expensive than owning. Now it's only slightly more expensive or about the same. The difference being, and there's a big puddle coming up, Chalice, let's go in the middle of the road. If a car comes, yell. So the difference being is that, if you're buying a home, if you own a home, there's several, very tangible, but unknown benefits to it that a lot of people that rent do not know. Now, number one is homestead. So here in the state of Florida, they have what's called a homestead law. The homestead law says that you can take your primary residence that you own, and a renter can't do this because it's only for owners, and you can apply for homestead, and then the homestead exemption gets you a bunch of things. There's tax benefits and things like that, but it also protects your home, and protects you in the case that you come up with hard times or something like that. It has a lot of protections where you can't be taken out of the home by a lot of different creditors and things like that. There's always exceptions, and it's a pretty long thing, but Google Florida homestead law, and you'll get a whole dissertation on it. But it is a sense of comfort. If you're renting and you can't pay the rent for a month or two, you're gone. The landlord's just going to kick you out and put another renter in, right? So anyways, taxes, also, it's on a yearly basis, the tax benefit of an average house here in Florida, $500,000-$600,000 or, $300,000, whatever it is. It's a cumulative thing. I mean, you're not going to save $10,000 in taxes over 1 year, but by the time you look at 10 years, you may have saved, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 on your taxes because you're taking the interest you're paying on your home against your income. Customizability, if you want to change paint colors, if you want to put planters inside of your, you get particular sort of flowers that you want to plant, depending on where you rent, you may not be able to do that. Anyway, so short summary of where is the market going in 2025. Like I said, I think that we're going to, go ahead and start out kind of where we're at, a little bit slow, gain momentum, and then we should be, in full swing, probably late spring, early summer. That's when we have our huge buying season anyways, that combined with all the other factors. And then maybe midsummer, late summer, we'll taper off and go back to what can be considered an ordinary market. So that's my thoughts on what's going to happen in 2025, and we'll see what happens in 2025. But we'll see you there. Give us a call if you got any further questions.
Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to Living in South Florida Does Not Suck. Please do subscribe with the notification bell on. Anyways, we love having you here. We love having your friends here. Shout it out from the rooftops. Like us on Facebook. Share it with your friends. We'll see you soon here in beautiful, sunny South Florida.